Oh, it looks like we're live. Can't stop now. Hi, folks. It's time once again to come together once a month. Chachi and John Duke Logan and executive producer Stephanie put together this Beatles show, which I love, and I go to every one of them, and a lot of other people go to every one of them, and we want to turn you on to them and tell you about the one that is coming up, which is on Sunday, City Winery, all new brunch menu, and we celebrate the Beatle who may be my new favorite Beatle, Ringo. And that's because, I used to say George and people say George, but as you know, I've been studying up on Ringo and that what was that new documentary, you guys, that showed Ringo's, the most recent documentary with the good footage that was released? What was it?
Back.
Get Back. Showed, Ringo to be super cool. And I sent you guys a kind of study of Ringo's drumming, which made me really appreciate him. So Sunday we're celebrating Ringo Starr. And tell me how it's going to go. What are we going to do? What can we expect?
Well, I always start, but maybe we'll let John start.
John, okay. John, start.
I have my Ringo book here, Another Day in the Life by Ringo Starr. It has all his photographs and stories and stuff like that. But yeah, so for those who may not heard of the show that we're talking about right now, it's called Come Together. It's a multimedia Beatles experience that we do once a month at the City Winery in Boston, and every show is completely different. So I'm a magician, so I do magic that's themed around the Beatles. Chachi has all these amazing underground stories. We show some really rare film clips as well of the Beatles. We have live music. So it's really, really fun, and every show is different. So we cover a different topic about the Beatles for every show, and the one on this Sunday, July 16th, show begins at noon. It's a brand new brunch menu for the City Winery, and we're going to be covering some really cool stories all about Ringo Starr. Our last show, which was in June, was all about Paul. So every show is different, and it's really fun. It's we try to build it in a way where if you know nothing about the Beatles, you'll have a good time, and if you know everything about the Beatles, you still have a good time. And now we have a guest appearance with Chachi's cat right there.
Oh, yeah. So folks, if you haven't been, you wonder, how does this work? What's a Beatles show? I mean, is there music? Well, yes, but there's a lot more than that. There are rare clips. There are prizes. These guys are pros, and they keep it moving along. So it's quite exciting. And it's exciting enough so there are a lot of return people that come every month. And, I have a new saying. Dave Hurley, he gave it to me, a new slug line. Bradley J., champion of the unusual.
We love
that. And one of the reasons I love the show, it is unusual. And that's one of the reasons I'm a champion of it. It is so different from all the stuff you've done all your life, same old thing. We've all gone out to dinner a million times or brunch a bunch of times. We've seen a lot of shows. But this is different. And it's difficult to explain it, but if you watch us right now, you'll get a sense of how it is different. And we do have live music from Dave Hurley.
He is amazing.
Dave Hurley of O Positive, who's a wonderful performer and a super interesting guy. And I'm looking forward to spending time with him. Well, I think I told you that we are collaborating on a song, and we went down to the Cape and went into a secret location and worked on it. And so that's fun. So I'm kind of reuniting with Dave Hurley. He's also the guy who gave me my first radio show in Boston. The very first time I was ever on the air in Boston, ever, was because of him. It was at WZBC, and I was going to do my first show. And he was going to just show me how to use the machines and stuff. But he said, hey, you're doing a good job. I'm going to go lay down on the couch. You can take over. So that was my very first on the air in Boston, which is a connection you probably didn't know. And that makes you kind of related to Dave because Chachi was there when I did my first WBCN show.
That's true. And I will echo what you say about Dave Hurley. He is super interesting, very smart. He's not a one-trick pony. I mean, in addition to being a fantastic musician, artist, singer, songwriter, he's an entertainment lawyer specializing in copyright. I went to his office at Northeastern where he's a professor and lectures students about entertainment. And I was there on the day he was doing a lecture on copyrights. But even more than that, what I discovered when I had him on Breakfast with the Beatles a few weeks ago to promote this show, We're both the same age. We both watched the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show. We were both blown away. Our lives were changed even at just 7 or 8 years old. But the other thing that was really a surprise was I grew up in Cambridge near the Watertown line. And I went into Watertown to see A Hard Day's Night for the very first time in 1964 in July. He did the same thing. He grew up just not far from my home. I used to take the trolley into Watertown Square to a little mom and pop record store. And I told him about that. And he goes, no way. I went to the same record store and bought all my records there. So we have a lot of commonality there. And he did an amazing version of I Call Your Name. You can't find it online, Bradley. He said, listen, I have a pressing on Epic Records, a 12-inch vinyl, 3 songs, and one of them is I Call Your Name. And I got to tell you, it's the most fantastic Beatles cover I've heard, because I Call Your Name is one of my favorite tracks. It is brilliant. And so the reason why I went to his office was he had a 12-inch version of it on vinyl. He gave it to me, and we're going to play it on my show this Sunday morning. It's just fantastic.
You know, I always forget to plug your show, Breakfast with the Beatles.
Well, thank you.
And that's different times and different stations are always the same time.
Saturday morning, 6 to 8 a.m. on WUMB in Boston, but that's a encore presentation of the show from the week before. And then Sundays, 10 a.m. till noon on WUMB, on Seacoast Oldies in New Hampshire and in Maine. So 3 states.
So Stephanie's the executive producer of this whole 3-ring circus. What kind of preparations did we have to make for this month? What goes into this?
Well, a lot goes into it from everybody's point of view and point of knowledge. But what's really incredible is, like, Ringo is always the unsung hero. He's always, Paul and John always get the love, and of course George. But Ringo is a really fascinating guy and has done so much. And it's really his whole career and all the little places in between of the things that he's done. And so these guys pull together the knowledge and the magic that goes with it and all the good fun stuff. And he's just such a colorful guy too, that it just makes for an exciting visual show. So we put that all together and we have a Ringo show.
Well,
and it's great.
She's being very modest because she handles a lot of the backstage stuff. And I don't mean literally backstage, but she's the liaison between the artist and the musician. I mean, and the venue and sound and lights and all the mechanics of the show. So she does what an executive producer does. And she does a fantastic job at it.
Of course, there are prizes. There are 2 ways to win prizes. You can answer trivia questions, and there's also a drawing for people like me who would never get the trivia questions right. And what do we have for prizes this month, Sunday?
Well, right after this show, I am traveling to Dedham to my buddy Bob Walsh's record store called Cheap Thrills Music. And since day one, I mean, he's been doing this for me in my events since I can remember. He was formerly the manager of Tower Records, but he owns his own little secondhand record store in Dedham. And every month he gives us Beatles original vinyl, solo Beatles vinyl, CDs, prizes to give away each month. So we will have those again. We have tickets to see the Fab Four at the Cape Cod Melody Tent and the South Shore Music Circus. Tickets to see a new theatrical production at the Region called 60s Thunder, music from the decade of change. We have breakfast with the actually come together t-shirts, which is what we're all wearing. And, one of the special things about this show, people write to us all the time. They love the MC. And
he is awesome.
So once again, Bradley J is part of the family, and we love him. And Bradley, you'll be there doing your MC gig at the beginning, of which you're a master. We've been doing it together since '81, you and I. Doing different MC gigs, but we love the fact that you're involved and your friendship, and we just love you. So thank you.
Whenever I think of MCing stuff with you, I always think of a WBCN thing. What would you do to see you too? which was on a flatbed truck. I believe you were there. I know I was there.
I was there. We did it in
and
Cambridge. That's
fresh over in Fresh Pond, some dealership over in Fresh Pond.
Fresh Pond Chevrolet.
And people came and got up on this flatbed truck in the cold weather. For some reason, it was cold. And people did stuff like one woman, I don't know if you could do this anymore, wore a skimpy bikini and covered herself with some sticky stuff and rolled around in feathers.
Yes, maple syrup, I think, and then she tarred and feathered herself. Another guy stood there, put his head through a giant board, and we were all threw water balloons at him. You remember that, Bradley?
I don't remember that. Do you remember what the winner did?
Yeah, and I'm very bummed out about it. I wish I was more proactive back then. Did he swallow 104 goldfish?
Correct.
Yeah, I look back to that, and I should have said, you know what, we shouldn't do this. But that was a long time ago, and I've begged ever since.
Why should you have said we should not do this?
Because I don't listen. Steph taught me this. We don't.
Because you're a vegetarian now?
I'm sorry.
Because you don't eat fish anymore?
No. I just don't think we should be killing anything.
I see. Okay, that's true, especially in fun. It's one thing if you got to eat it, but it's another thing to kill stuff for fun, I guess. Okay, that's kind of a.
But that was a long time ago. So.
Right. We'll move on. So Ringo shows up in Boston sometimes, huh?
Ringo has family in Boston. Barbara, his wife, her family is from Boston. Her brother is a surgeon, formerly in Cambridge. He might be in Boston now, but yeah, her family's from Belmont. And I've interviewed Ringo about it. We talked about his family in Belmont, and I teased him. I said, "Do you think they listen?" He goes, "Oh yeah, Chachi, they're all listening, even in Liverpool." And he laughs about that. But her family's from Belmont. But when Lee, his daughter, had some health issues, her surgery was done in Boston. And I will tell you, there's a story about George on his deathbed, days before he passed away. Ringo went and visited him. And as they were saying goodbye, Ringo says, "Listen, I'm sorry. I have to fly to Boston. Lee is having surgery." And George on his deathbed said, "Would you like me to come along to help you?" And Ringo said, No. George was very kind. And, he's saying, "Hey, let me come with you and I'll help you." And so Ringo has told that story in the past. So yeah, Barbara's family's from Belmont.
Wow. So anybody, just talk a little bit about your view of Ringo's role in the band. I'm only kind of learning it now. And prior to thinking about it a lot, you would have thought, somebody else could be the drummer. But no, not really. It wouldn't have been the Beatles, right? And why is that?
Well, I'll start. The deal with Ringo is, he's a unique drummer. He's a left-handed drummer who plays on a right-handed drum kit. So he starts his rolls with his left hand instead of his right on a right-handed kit, which is unique. A lot of drummers do not do that. He's a simplistic drummer with immense creativity. He once told me that his secret was when he knows when not to hit the drum. And he was the perfect drummer for the Beatles. They used to call him, he had the best backbeat in the business. So his drumming skills are unique to what he does. And I will tell you, as a former drummer, it all sounds easy, but then when you try to play like Ringo, it's not so easy. And then the other side of the coin is it don't come easy. The other side of the coin is the fact that his demeanor. He's a very kind guy. He was the heart and soul of the band. He was he was the bridge whenever there was any issues within the band. Ringo was the one that brought people together in the band. When they were having problems in 1970, 69, Paul made the McCartney album. They had the Let It Be album coming out. Paul was insisting, my album has to come out. And they tried to talk to him. Let's put out Let It Be first. Then you can put out your album. Why battle each other in the charts? And so Paul versus the other three, there were a lot of problems going on with Alan Klein. Paul would not do it. And what did they do? They sent Ringo to Paul's house to try to convince Paul to let him do it. Now, Ringo failed this time, but that was once. I mean, Ringo always was the bridge that kept the band together. So in that way, he was the peacemaker. He was the everyman, the common man. He grew up in poverty as opposed to the other three, a broken home as a child, sick in the hospital a lot. So he brought a lot of unique things to the Beatles. So that's my little spiel. I don't know if I took up all of John's material in that, but John.
Of course. It's funny. So one of the tricks I'll be doing for this show is I'll be talking a little about what Chachi just said and why I think Ringo was kind of that missing piece of the puzzle. So just a little sneak peek. I think the Beatles were successful because of their personalities, this diverse personalities. John Lennon was very bold and witty. Paul was more organized, very more the perfectionist. George was more the practical one, more pragmatic, and then Ringo, this kind of goofy, lovable guy. And the way his brain worked, he used to have, had Ringoisms, so these phrases that he would develop, like a hard day's night and tomorrow never knows, and he just created those phrases. They made songs about them. But I also think, growing up, he was a little self-conscious about himself too, because he's always in and out of the hospital. And, he, in and out of school and hospital. So he really didn't have a lot of friends growing up, and very cautious about his image and his singing voice and things like that. And then when he finally joined the Beatles, he was the last one to join. John and Paul and George were touring with each other for years before that. So in his mind, he always kind of felt like the odd one out, but I think he was the kind of the last piece of the puzzle. And, people loved him for that, especially his decision-making. There's a rumor that when John and Paul and George were developing a song, that no one ever had to tell Ringo what to play. He just knew exactly what they were looking for and knew how to play. And I just think the way his brain worked was just so unique. So that's why I love Ringo.
Did he do an audition? And if he did an audition, did he blow them away, or were they like, oh, we'll see, and he grew into it?
Well, the deal with Ringo was he was more popular than the Beatles at that time. He was in a band called Rory Storm and the Hurricanes. He was the drummer. He was Ringo back then because of his rings, but he also did a segment in the show with Rory called Star Time, and that's how they got his name, Ringo Starr. But Rory Storm and the Hurricanes were very popular. The Beatles knew Ringo. He did not audition. In fact, Rory Storm and the Hurricanes were booked in Germany, Hamburg, at the same time as the Beatles. So they were all friends, and Ringo would go in where they were playing, the Beatles, and he would sit in on occasion. He would fill in for Pete Best on occasion, but everyone knew Ringo. So Ringo was a celebrity before the other three. And so there was no audition. They just said, do you want to be a Beatle? They just felt that he fit in more than Pete, with all due respect. We love Pete. But they wanted Ringo. They thought he fit perfectly, and they were right.
I got to remind folks that the reason we're here is to get you wound up about Sunday. I'm wound up about it. I look forward to these things, you guys. I say, oh, yeah, it's this little thing each month to look forward to. And I'm a guy, I need stuff to look forward to. And I like to, my day is marked by things I look forward to, like, okay, at 5 o'clock I can have a beer. And so.
Well, we love being with you too. It's a lot of fun, and we have a message on the screen there, Bradley.
Oh yeah, good. That's right. A question type of thing. That's a toughie. I wouldn't know. I mean, 50% chance I could get that right. I could just pretend, say it with authority, and go, yes, absolutely. And I could either be right or wrong. If I was right, I'd seem like a genius. But I'm not taking that chance. You go ahead.
That's good Ringo
Who
trivia.
wants to answer in a 3-panel here? John, Steph?
I don't know. The answer might be in the question on Sunday.
Could be. John, do you know the answer?
I do.
You know the answer.
Not by blood, though.
Yes. Barbara Bach has a sister named Marjorie. Marjorie married Joe Walsh, so they are brother-in-laws, Ringo and Joe Walsh.
So let's see. Rudy sent that question. I bet he knew the answer to that, and it was just a test,
Well,
right? A little test.
I would suspect that probably is the case. Yes.
So let me
We're
put
going to
this.
be talking about that more on Sunday, though. That
That's
exact
correct.
question.
Hey, do you have any? Are you going to do the rare clips and stuff like you do for everybody else? That's going to be good because I don't see many rare clips of Ringo.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah.
There are. There's a lot of stuff that you forgot that Ringo did, especially in the 70s, and a lot of fun stuff. Yeah, super interesting. It's quite a marketing whiz.
Okay, so is that right? I've got this banner up there. Come together Sunday, City Winery, July 16th.
That's
Right.
correct.
Can you
And
believe
we-
it's July? My God.
I know. And we're going to have a special treat with Dave Hurley. He's going to do Ringo songs. I mean, what better than to see Dave Hurley, O Positive, doing Ringo songs in a Ringo set? It's going to be
one thing about Dave Hurley, your artist, he seems even more energized about music than he ever has in his life. He is so gung-ho. He is so go-get-'em these days. I don't know why, but he's reinvigorated big time, and he's thrilled to be doing this.
Well, I will tell you, Bradley, you and I'm sure I can say this and speak for you as well. I've had huge admiration for Dave for years. And when we started Come Together last September and we're booked till December 2024, he came to one of our shows and I was honored that he was there. And I threw one hint, hey, maybe you'll play sometime, because I'd be uncomfortable to ask him because of, he's such a great guy, but he's such a super talent. Anyone who's doing a show would love to have Hurley performing. And when he sent me a message after the Paul McCartney brunch last month, which was completely sold out, I was taken aback by the fact that he wanted to play. And he's excited about playing. And then again, we came to realize our lives were so close together back in the 60s,
Yeah.
So I saw him perform at the tribute to David Crosby, where a whole bunch of artists came to the City Winery and did David Crosby songs. And those are hard to sing. That's, as you know. And he nailed it so well. I think that was the most impressive thing I've ever seen him do. I don't want to keep everybody forever. Is there anything we're forgetting? We got Sunday on the 16th of July. It's Come Together. It's noontime. If you'll come on into the City Winery, and there's that really cool room, very comfortable, good vibe. You'll order some brunch. They have a brand new brunch menu. And then at 12 o'clock sharp, countdown. There's actually a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and say, okay, Bradley, go. And I go out there and wind everybody up, and then it's off and running. And you can definitely order food during the show and order drinks during the show. Probably brunch. You probably want a mimosa or something like that. Don't let me tell you what to do, but you certainly can do that. And then you will be flabbergasted by the magic of John Duke Logan, and you will actually be flabbergasted. Last time there was one trick that I just could not understand how that was possible, and of course that's very enjoyable. Some of them I think, maybe he did something like not this one. It was completely. Don't get it. It's amazing. You'll have the music. You'll have Chachi. Chachi will astound you. They'll all astound you with their knowledge of the Beatles and Ringo. Oh, and we have a kind of special guest. A couple of people who Ringo goes to their store and buys stuff. We have Rick and Rachel Walker going to show up, who run Walker's on Newbury Street, which is a regular stop for Ringo. It's like I sometimes. Like, I hang out there a lot, and I'm always hoping that Ringo comes through the door. I'm never there when he does, but famous people come through there, and one of them's Ringo. So this promises to be a really cool event, a summertime event in Boston, in the heart of historic Boston. Can't go wrong. Plenty of, I don't know. There was a big parking garage, but they knocked that down, right? But it's free parking on Sunday.
Yeah, meters. It's really easy to find parking on Sunday, but yes. The government center garage has been going through renovations, yes.
Yep, I take the MBTA. So far, so good. And so we'll see you all there. Anything to add?
And don't forget, we have a ticket special for this weekend. Use promo code Come Together, and you'll get 2 tickets.
So how does that work? How does that work?
So when you go in the City Winery to buy tickets, find the show.
That's right. You got to go online to City Winery, right?
Mm-hmm. City Winery Boston.
City Winery Boston.
and click on the show, buy tickets. There,
Yep.
there you'll have the opportunity to enter a promo code. Enter promo code Come Together, and you'll get 2 tickets for $10 and $20 to $10 a piece.
Tickets $10, an extra low no show if you type in the
show.
promo code Come Together, all one word.
Mm-hmm.
All one word, Come Together.
Right.
So you go to the City Winery. You got to spell it out for folks. You go to the City Winery website. At least you would for me. City Winery. Google it. That's step 1. Google City Winery. City Winery Boston. Or go to Come Together Productions.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
That will link right directly to the.
Oh, good.
Yes,
All right.
do that. Exactly.
Promo code Come Together.
Hi,
And we'll see you all there. I know I'm stringing this out because I like talking to you guys so much. But we don't have to subject the rest of the
And
world.
we loved your fun fact about Dave Hurley because it must be that ZBC experience that we all share. Like back in the day. When you were there, I was the promotions director, Dave Hurley. We used to do in-stores at Strawberries with O Positive. It was the best. So to see him come play Ringo songs.
Yeah.
Gonna be
Full disclosure, we should just mention Stephanie's history runs deep. Way back in the 80s, I was on CBC and I met Stephanie for the first time. And she loves to tell the story how I gave her my resume. She was a student. I was just like a networking, I don't know. Maybe it was so.
Yeah, you were always
Maybe it was
hustling,
just
Matt. You
maybe
were
it was just an
always
excuse to
hustling.
talk to you. Probably that was it. That was probably it, actually. And then you
You're
got
always
in,
moving and shaking, Bradley.
you got in the business, the music business, the record business. You were doing in stores, and you did in stores with O Positive, and you did in stores with me too. And of course, that's how you came to know
Oh my God.
Chachi as
Not an
well.
event without Bradley there. Doing a live remote or emceeing or making an appearance.
And if I can say this about our host today, your reports from Jerusalem just blew us away.
Oh, thank you very much. That was
I don't know how you do that, how you travel the world by yourself in this day and age. But your videos, your commentary.
Oh, I wanted to be right
amazing.
there, like right from the plane, right to that bar.
I was a little nervous because they did have a major military action, and I thought there might be repercussions. Did you know that?
That's what we thought. We're like, whoa.
Did you know
that back for our show?
That El Al Airlines is the only airline that has anti-missile stuff on it?
Mm-hmm. Actually, I said that to Chachi. I'm like, I wonder if he's going out. They put all the diamonds on there too.
So,
okay.
and I got to tell you, it's consistent with Come Together. The way I do it is, I'm not lonesome because I'm really proactive on meeting people, and I interview them. And there's an old man sitting on a stone, and it looks like, I start to chat with him, and he says, "Do you like coffee?" His name was Khalid, and I start to chat with him. He says, "Do you like coffee?" And he takes me deep in the heart of the old city where his son-in-law, Brahim, runs a coffee stand, and we have coffee. And I interviewed a spice guy, and oh, check this out. This final story, just because I like to tell it, and is I was all tired. I had been walking through that old city for 3 days. I thought, should I go to the airport or should I trudge through one more time? Because I really wanted to absorb the heck out of it. I just wanted to absorb it so much. I thought, I'll do one more round because I'm here. I'm all the way here. What am I going to do, be lazy? But I walked by, deep in the heart of the old city, a place that actually sold beer, and that they don't really exist. So, whoa. German beer on draft, and there was a little table out front. So I got one. It was so good. And the kid that poured it for me, I started talking to him because that's what I like to do. Turns out he's a music producer like me. He makes music like me. And we started talking about how he does it and how I do it. And I asked him, what's your dream? And it's interesting to see what motivates people. Like, what's your dream? For him, it's not getting so much getting famous. He wants a Lamborghini. That is his dream. He goes, oh, I want a Lambo. I want to move back to my homeland of Armenia. I want to drive around the streets of Yerevan in my Lambo Hurricane. And it was just that kind of talking to people is the thing that makes it worthwhile.
Sure. Now, let me ask you, Bradley, do you ever find record stores where you go?
No, I don't. I mean, there must be there, but there were no record stores there, man. No,
Well, certainly there aren't many record stores anywhere anymore, but yeah, if you ever come across Beatle records in Jerusalem, things
oh
like
yeah.
that.
Well, I did keep an eye out for, because let's see, in Spain there was some Beatle thing, but I didn't see anything there. I've kept this going on way too long, and we got off topic. But a reminder, folks: Sunday, let's all come together. Let's all hang out. Let's meet each other in person. City Winery. You get to talk to John, Stephanie, Chachi, me. The regulars that show up. You'll get to hear the music of Dave Hurley. You'll have some beautiful food and maybe a nice cocktail. And it's something fun and different to do. That's the thing. It's different. It's not the same old thing. Okay.
Let me just add one more thing, Bradley. We're celebrating Ringo's birthday, but you know who shares a birthday with Ringo?
Oh my God.
No, I didn't know that. We're going to be celebrating your birthday as well.
Oh yeah.
We're
I'm glad.
We're changing all the Ringo trivia questions. They're going to be Stephanie trivia questions.
Okay.
Well, happy upcoming birthday. I'm glad you
No,
told me
it was
that.
last week.
Oh, it was last week. So, okay.
The biggest present is when that Dave Hurley Bradley J track is going to drop. When can we hear it, Bradley?
Oh, well, we're working on it. He wants to get together maybe, really soon. We're at the arranging part. I played bass, believe it or not.
Wow.
That's cool.
Yep.
Bradley J plays. Mom play fiddle.
Okay, I got to save something for Sunday. John, thanks for your
Thank you.
patience. Thanks for putting up with me, John, and Chachi, and Stephanie. And I'll see y'all then. Dress nice,
Sunday.
and let's come together on Sunday at the City Winery. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you, Bradley.
All right, bye. We'll be on live in like